Babou Ceesay, and I'm playing Doctor Faustus.
So I'm Rivers, I'm playing Mephistopheles.
Okay. So, at this stage, just over a month before we go into rehearsals, tell me a bit about your perception of the character that you're playing, or characters you're playing.
Thank you. I'm playing Mephistopheles, who's a fallen angel, which was the main kind of thing that kind of struck me. That deviates into all sorts of other things, and really, the main thing for me was thinking, okay, he's a fallen angel, so I need to start researching about an angel first and see what an angel is, which led me onto Paradise Lost, starting with the Bible, all sorts of films about angels.
Mm-hmm.
In a nutshell, that's kind of where I am at the start of what the character is.
Faustus is a bit of an academic, sort of you consider him probably at one point being kind of boy genius, really having a lot of ability to absorb information and find things out. But he's never been the cool kid, he's never been the person who can relate to people and deal with circumstances, go out with girls, any of that. For him it's always been about being extraordinary at the work he does. And at the beginning of the play, I think he's in a place where he's beginning to feel that itch.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing challenges him as much anymore. And through the course of the play, I think through no fault of his own, he probably starts to covet things that are beyond him, that are outside of the realm of intelligence. You almost have to be more of a human being or more of a person to be able to achieve those things. Fame, fortune, recognition.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff, the stuff that you can't
The
get.
great stuff.
Right. So, at this stage, given that Mephistopheles is the devil's agent and it is Mephistopheles that brokers the deal to whom Faustus sells his soul, tell me a bit about how you perceive the relationship between the two characters at this point.
Tricky one. I think Faustus is impressed. Not impressed doesn't even come close to describing how he perceives Mephistopheles. But on a very basic level, going back to him not being able to relate to people, I think he's potentially found the nearest thing to a best friend he's ever going to get. A companion, a person who is on the same page as him.
A mate, even. A mate.
Yeah.
So Mephistopheles doesn't mean that, I don't think.
No.
There's a line in the play where he says it gives comfort to the miserable to have people join them in their misery, and that's what it is. It's the soul is the most important thing, and it comes from kind of a jealousy of what Faustus is. He's a human, God created him after the angels for us to be servants to him. So there's all this kind of power struggle, and he panders. That's the thing, he panders to Faustus' ego because he knows that's the way he's going to get him. So it's very duplicitous, and maybe some of there might be an element of feeling sorry for him and all that, but that's to be explored. But I think
he wants to seal the deal.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So at this point, how do you prepare for a rehearsal process? How do you prepare for playing this part, I suppose, rather than any part?
Because it's verse, because you never really get enough time to rehearse when you're in the process. I like to learn the lines straight off before, with no kind of inclination, no inflection. So it's very kind of basic. You know what you're going to say, you know what the other person's going to say, and then to play off the other person. So that's how I begin to look at the technical aspect of rehearsal. In terms of character, it usually comes from all sorts. I mean, once you start kind of digging into the character, all sorts of things trigger you. And like I was saying earlier, I ordered a book off Amazon, and it's by a writer who's Russian. And then I was reading it this morning, and Rasputin came into my head, an image of Rasputin. And there's a very dark kind of feralness to it, even though he's a priest. you get a sense of danger. And then that led me on to thinking about tigers. I mean, imagine if you're in a room with a tiger. No matter what you do, there's always going to be that element of fear because it's so unexpected. You don't know when they're going to. And I think Mephistopheles has that.
Yeah.
That permeates through.
He's not safe.
No, ever.
And what about you, Babou?
So in terms of the process, I mean, again, I'm going to probably learn the lines as much as possible, try not to do it with any inflection or play off the other actor. But as in at this stage, I'm trying to, at this very early stage, I'm looking at the script for as many clues as to who this person is. Some things are fact because it's stated, but some things give you a sense. Like you say, you read a book and you think of Rasputin, it gives you an idea. And probably, I mean, there's other things that he's capable of, like for instance, he can speak Latin. I can't speak Latin. So for me, that is something that's very removed from me. And I don't just want to look at the words and try and say them, if you know what I mean. So for me, at the moment, I'm trying to listen to podcasts, something that's sort of structural and basic, just to know little things like how is Latin inflected, how, I mean, because I come from Gambia, and when I speak my language, I speak with a slightly different intonation than I do when I speak English. And so that difference alone is something I'm going to figure out between English and Latin, and what similarities there, what overlaps there are. And just little basic things like that. And maybe later, if I start looking more at the character in terms of his physicality, maybe there are things about him that are not quite like me in terms of his confidence or the way that he talks to people, the way he relates to people. Those things I want to see, just not impose, but see what they suggest to me about the way he is physically and vocally. And that's something that I haven't really done before. And this time I want to try it and see.